Hi YouTube, Mike here. I thought I'd give you a holiday update and sort of the recent events surrounding my father's death and what I've been up to. Following my emotional video the night that I found out that my dad had passed, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the wonderful comments, the wonderful kind words of condolence, and the sharing of similar experience by several of you of family members with mental illness. And some of the private messages, video messages, people who've checked in on me from time to time. I just can't tell you how much that means. I've said this to several of you, but I'm an eternal optimist. So it's not that you've restored my faith in humanity, but you've certainly affirmed it. And I just can't thank you enough. It's really been an uplifting experience in some ways to know that I've got that much support. From this community that I haven't actually even been involved with all that long. And several of you had also said some things which I felt are really uplifting in terms of, any kind of a lasting legacy that my dad's life and death may have. That several had said, that they think that this may be the last holiday season they have to spend with a certain loved one, and that my video has inspired them to, look on it just that much differently. And I think that's a wonderful legacy for my dad to leave behind, that it may make some difference in a complete stranger's life. I think that's just wonderful and fantastic. So thank you all so very much. I've had a rough couple of weeks, needless to say. I ended up getting a double whammy migraine on Christmas Day. It started at about 10:30, and then around 2 o'clock I got out of bed and I was feeling not too bad, so I showered and was getting ready to go to the family Christmas party, and all of a sudden half my vision just went. And I was right back to square one, and I ended up spending all night in bed. I'm still dealing with the sort of refractory period that I get after a migraine, even till today, sort of brain fog and just not generally feeling all that well. So it's been, I'm sure that all has to do with the stress of the holiday season and my dad's passing and everything else. We did find out that my dad died of a pulmonary saddle embolism, and it looks like there may be some family history of a genetic predisposition to a certain type of blood clotting. I can't quite remember what it's called, but my eldest aunt on my dad's side has been diagnosed with that and does take medication for it. And so there's a potential there that may even actually be somewhat of a cause of my migraines if I've got that same genetic factor. So we're going to obviously get all that checked out, including my daughter as well, for any of those things. But it sounds like that's what ended up was the cause of death. He died in his house, sitting in his chair. We figure about 3 days before he was found. And it was probably pretty quick, according to the coroner's report, that it likely wasn't all that painful. So, obviously all that's comforting. And through some subsequent meetings with my brother and my mom and my brother's wife, who were a lot more close contact with my dad than I've gotten a little bit more light shed on our relationship in some ways. And it's been sort of a double-edged sort of comforting and heartbreaking to know that that Dad really did think that he and I were going to reconcile at some point, that he just didn't know how to do it, and that he actually, according to my brother and his wife, he did know and understood why the separation was there, and that he didn't blame me for any of it. And obviously that's very comforting for me. I'm sort of trying to be as introspective as I can to watch for guilt markers within myself, because I know that's a tendency that we're going to have to take on guilt for these things, especially that he actually suffered quite a bit towards the end of his life. His health was getting much more much more deteriorated in the last couple of years, and there could have been things that I could have done had I had contact with him. And that he didn't blame me for any of that. And that was comforting. And it was also comforting to know too that they felt like he knew that I hadn't abandoned him as my dad. And that obviously is very important to me. There were lots of times when he would be on a manic phase, and he would, run his car out of gas somewhere and walk barefoot into town demanding gasoline from people or something and get taken into the police station and into the hospital, and his car is abandoned on the side of the road, full of garbage with no gas and a dead battery. And my brother, living quite a bit further away from me, would call me, and I would go and get the car and do whatever I had to do to get it back up to Dad's house, so that once he got out of the hospital, once he'd been treated, all he'd have to do is get a bus ride back home and his car would be there. And I always asked my brother not to tell him that it was me doing it, because I just didn't want, I was concerned partially that I might be a trigger for my dad to relapse into manic phases because of our relationship. It had been a little bit confrontational and adversarial at times, partially due in no small part to the fact that when we'd had him committed, I signed all the paperwork. It only required one signature, and I'm the oldest son, so I guess I took it upon myself. But my dad, being the smart guy that he is, once he got out of the hospital the very first time, he submitted a writ of habeas corpus and got all the documents and knew that it was me that had him committed. And I don't think he took real kindly to that. And that was where a lot of our friction started. So I really didn't want him knowing that I had been the one delivering his car back to his house at that time. Of course, now it's very comforting to know that they had in fact actually told him that all along, whenever I would go and help get his car or his truck or do anything to do with his house when he was in the hospital, that they had actually informed him of that. And that's nice to know, because at least I know that Dad knew that I hadn't completely abandoned him. So in any case, my brother and I went up to the house for the first time a couple of days ago, and that was really rough. First time since Dad had passed. And I could tell my brother was avoiding going up there. We went for lunch and he was dilly-dallying and delaying things. And as soon as we got in the house, he just broke down. And it really brought the point home to me that, my brother and I are grieving differently. He was with Dad only 12 or so days before he passed, helping him install a new heater. And he'd been helping him all along. And so it's much more immediate for my brother. I go through periods where I feel like I'm doing okay. I kind of feel like, well, he already was gone to me. I mean, I would pass by him on the road every once in a while or see him in a store, but I hadn't talked to him or seen him face to face since the year 2000. So it's been a long time. And then something will just hit me the wrong way. And suddenly I really am at I would call the edge of despair, with this double sense of loss, the loss of a parent, but also the loss of the opportunity to reconcile. And I realize those two are intertwined, but it feels like a double sense of loss when I'm feeling that. And so I know that I'm a long way from finishing the grieving process, and there are a lot of things that I'm grieving the loss of. But I know I'll be okay, and I know we're going to get through all of this. But it certainly hasn't been easy. And one of the things, though, as I said before, I'm always an eternal optimist, and I always look for the good that potentially can come of any situation. And the real fantastic positive that's come out of the situation is reuniting with the rest of my entire extended family. My parents moved to Canada in about 1974, and so I was just a little boy at the time, and it was just my parents and my brother and myself. But my parents are both the oldest of 9 siblings, both of them. And so I've got a lot of aunts and uncles and a lot of cousins, on down the line that I haven't really been in contact with. When we moved here, long distance telephone conversations were quite expensive. Visiting was quite expensive, for us to go all the way there or for people to come to visit here. So in some ways, we really felt like we lived on an island. And even after the internet age sort of came upon us, those things had sort of been established. But there's certainly no excuse anymore. And so reestablishing contact with all of my extended family, just to alert them to what had happened to their brother, their uncle, etc., has caused us to this real flurry of connection, not only on my dad's side, but of course it's sort of, after you're making a bunch of Facebook friends with all your cousins that you really almost didn't even know exist, it's like, well, there's a bunch on my mom's side too. We might as well put the period on the page and do it all. And so it's really fantastic, this reconnection that I'm having with all my extended family. And I'm pretty sure my dad would be real happy to know that that's taking place. He was busy doing a genealogy in the last couple of years before his death. And so, you know, family was important to him in that sense. And so I think he'd be pretty happy to know that, that's what's taking place. And so to that end, we're going to have a celebration of life, probably late spring for him. We're doing it then so that any of his family that wants to come here to celebrate his life with us on that same day with a lot of his neighbors and the people from the community can make those plans ahead of time, can get passports and travel plans, holidays booked and that sort of thing if they want to do that. So really looking forward to that opportunity to reconnect with all our extended family. And it's obviously very unfortunate it took something tragic for that to happen. You know, a man to die young, essentially. He was only 67 when he passed. That's what it took, but I'll take any positive that I can get. And so once again, I just wanted to give everybody an update. We'll see how my channel goes from here. I'd like to change it, take it in new directions, somewhat based on my dad's death and some areas that I wanted to dive into anyway. So I think we'll try and do that over the course of 2014. Again, thank you all so very, very much for all your kind words. I said in a text comment to somebody on some unrelated topic before my dad's death, I really love you people, and I have to say, I really do love you people. I'm so buoyed by the wonderful humanity that was expressed in the 100+ comments left on my Goodbye Dad video, and to me, that's just a testament to the true beauty of the human spirit. I think that all reflects very well on all of you. I think you're beautiful people, and I look forward to chatting with you more in the course of the next year. Thanks very much for watching.